Hi Aries, welcome to your August 2019 General Tarot reading. It's raining here. I almost said September. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of family stuff so far with this, I feel. Of the past coming back for you. Good. I'm glad we ended on a good, strong note. So let me think of the astrological tendencies here. So your fourth house is Scorpio. Is there any Scorpio energy that is coming up? I can't think of any. Not in August. Or Sag, the fifth house can be, that wouldn't be the fifth house, though. Why did I say Scorpio? I was thinking of Leo, okay. Your fourth house is Cancer, though. What am I thinking, Aries? What am I thinking? Yeah, definitely. Fourth and fifth house are connected to childhood. And for sure, in August, there's going to be energy in these houses. You had a Mercury retrograde that went into the fourth house. And we'll go back on the 11th into the 5th. Now, granted, this is kind of a general tarot reading. Mileage may vary for your degree of sun or rising. The heart of the matter is the Nine of Wands. This is a card of kind of like having your guard up. In some cases, you may have even been contacted, perhaps in July, from somebody during the Mercury retrograde from your past. And this may have been a relationship that didn't end well. So you would be very wise to be like the Nine of Wands and to be kind of have your guard up and things like that so that you don't get sucked into a bad relationship again. But this can also be something connected to the past, your childhood, okay? Because Mercury in the fourth house can have you thinking about the past. And we have the corresponding card here, the Six of Cups, which is about nostalgia, the past. Cancer is connected to the sign, and childhood, sometimes children. I'm thinking that some of you are pondering whether or not to have children. And during the Mercury retrograde, your mind and your thoughts may have gone back to your own mother, to your own childhood, and how you were treated and the circumstances around that. And the bottom line is that it may not be something that is really easy for you to just like make a snap decision about. You may have mixed feelings. Perhaps your childhood wasn't all that. It was a little bit traumatic, and therefore you're leery about having children. I think that it is very, very wise to be totally aware of these feelings and not to kind of like shove them under the rug. Want to please your partner if they really, really want kids, but to honor yourself and to say, hold up, I really went through a lot and I'm not sure that I can do this, so I need to think about this. Now, I think after the 11th of the month, but even towards the middle of the month, that should be more of a kind of like a way for you to decide better. Aries. I hope I said Aries this whole time and not Leo. I really do. Because sometimes I get people saying, is this reading for, this sign or this sign? But this is definitely intended for Aries. And you might, towards mid-month, you may have kind of like a more solid idea of what you want to do relationship-wise. And then you can move forward. Okay? The higher message is the Three of Swords. This is a card of feeling rejected. Now, people sometimes can feel like this is going to be about a love situation, and it certainly could be. But there's also the possibility that this has to do with something in your childhood. Maybe you didn't feel that you were treated the way you should have been treated. And you've carried this sort of feeling of rejection with you. And it's important to acknowledge these types of feelings, because not only don't they go away, but they can be projected onto future situations. So, if a parent rejects you, and then you are in the workplace and you get passed over for a promotion, and you think back to when it just so happened that your mother, favored one of your siblings, or your father favored one of your siblings, and that kind of triggers that feeling of like not being good enough. That is a form of projection, unless, they are playing favorites in the workplace, and any feeling human being is going to react in that way too, even if they didn't experience that growing up. But I think it's more acute when you have experienced a similar type of scenario. It can mimic what has come before, and then you think it just reactivates the whole thing. That's what triggering is reactivating old pain. And I think as a spiritual message, it's saying, rather than focusing on the emotions that are being generated, understand that you were capable of being triggered in the first place, which means that something is unhealed. Just because something happens to you doesn't mean it's going to trigger you. Because if you've really come to terms with something and made peace with it, you're not going to feel those pangs. Maybe there'll be little twinges just from force of habit, but you're going to feel a little bit more understanding of the bigger picture. Let's put it that way. And when you feel a sense of rejection, it can be easier for you, Aries, to tolerate bad behavior, being willing to settle for less in relationships. So it's important for you to get a handle on it so that you can kind of rise above it. And so that's an interesting thing. Now, also, the Three of Swords can be that this is a lover's triangle. And if you have heard from somebody from your past and you're just so excited to hear from them, make sure that they're single, so that you don't go into that type of a pretty, what I would call useless situation in many cases, because probably more times than not, the person has no intention of leaving that primary relationship, and they are just sucking you into this triangle to feed their own ego, perhaps, or to, that they have two people, and even getting those two people to fight with one another, which is the lowest of the low. But it really does take two to fight. So if you're not willing to, or in this case, three, if you refuse to buy into it, and take the, if you refuse to take the bait, then you don't have to worry about what somebody else is trying to do. What crosses you is the Ten of Pentacles, and this is a card of the generations. And this was another kind of a card that is about family. The number 10 relates to family. So going back to that Six of Cups, that sense of ancestry, permanency, the Ten of Pentacles, the generations, generational wealth, and things like that. And if you're the kind of person, Aries, that is like that Nine of Wands and has been hurt, you may have trust issues that, for whatever reason, make you gravitate towards relationships that are where the other person is involved with a third party. Maybe that's what that spiritual message is look at the pattern. If you have a tendency to get involved with somebody who's already taken, that can point to your lack of fear of intimacy. And that could be the Nine of Wands as well. Is that, putting up really high walls, emotional walls, to try to protect yourself, but the walls are so high that they only wall you in. And you may feel that sense of isolation because you're so worried about what the Three of Swords represents that you're willing to lose it all. By the way, the Ten of Pentacles I also associate with a Capricorn, so that might be somebody, if you are involved with that, out of all the earth signs, I see you being attracted to Capricorn the most, that this person is not compatible with you, even though you may think that they're this good catch. This could be part of your dilemma. The advice is the Son of Wands, the Knight of Wands, which is maybe recognizing somebody who is a player and not, and just in general, recognizing who are people who are capable of spending the rest of your life with, or somebody who's just a fling. Aries is ruled by Mars, which one of the aspects of Mars is the sex drive, and Aries tends to have a very high sex drive, and maybe that ends up dominating your your interests when you get involved in relationships to your own detriment. So the Knight of Wands may feed into that. Maybe this is an aspect of you. I've always thought of the Knight of Wands as Aries energy myself, even though it's associated with Sagittarius. So maybe this is a Sagittarian person that you are getting involved with. But then the outcome is a Strength card, and that's associated with Leo. There's that 8. We have that Lion's Gate. 8-8. The portal that has to do with Sirius, the star. That is connected to this race of lion beings. Although I thought Lyrans were lion cat people. But the Strength card, it does connect to Leo, so I'm not sure if that, for some of you, that's going to be the person that you end up with. But in August, make a point of really venturing out. If you have met somebody recently, Aries, don't be afraid to let down your guard. I don't mean, be like careless, but let down your like excessive boundaries and just let somebody in, even if you have had heartbreak in the past, because this can be a sign of strength for you. You may be so worried about getting your heart broken that you think that you are invulnerable when you keep up that high wall, but it could only serve to keep you more isolated. And if you're looking for love, then you have to kind of be willing to be vulnerable. If this is a childhood issue, this may mean that you talk to somebody, and that gives you strength that can help to heal this with you. But in any case, this can be the beginning of a new phase for you where you're able to feel a greater sense of self-empowerment and confidence. Aries is known for being confident, but some of you may say, yeah, I give that image, but really sometimes I'm not sure of myself. And that's being a human as well. So I just want you to really come into yourself in August and be that bold Aries person that you are, regardless of what has happened in your past, Aries. Take care. Bye.